Morning.
Good morning. How is everybody today?
Good.
All right.
Do you think we have enough for a quorum to start, or should I wait?
Let me see here. I'm just trying to get something uploaded. Okay. So,
Ashley's trying to log in from his phone, or he's out with.
I think John's in his office. I know he's an alternate, but I don't know where Trina is today. She probably is joining.
yeah, let's just give it just a minute here. I'm just checking people off my list.
Well, there's the guy that really needed to be in. Now he's visual.
George is on.
No, we got beat art, man. We don't need me.
I think 4 of you guys right now. So we need one more for a quorum of 5.
Yeah, it's right at 10 o'clock, so we'll give him a second here.
Does that include Amber as our alternate?
That does include Amber.
How many we need, Mike? Is it 5 or 6?
Are you joining?
5.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got a quorum here.
No, I think we're just counting 4, aren't we?
John's trying to get in. He can't get in. I'm resending the link to him.
Mary
There we go.
counts. Janelle counts.
Yeah.
Robert counts.
Amira just
Amber
logged
counts.
on.
That's 4.
Yeah, we're
Mira
good.
counts, and there was one other.
Oh, it's Mira. I didn't see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She
I
just
didn't
came
see.
on.
Amira.
There
okay.
she is.
John,
Okay.
All right.
5.
Janelle, of course.
I
That's
am
6.
going
That's
to call the Technical Advisory Committee meeting for the Truckee River Flood Management Authority to order this Friday, October 24th, 2025 at 10:03 a.m. And if we could please do a roll call and establishment of quorum.
Yes. Janelle Thomas,
Present?
Rob Beadart,
Present.
Trina Magoon,
Here.
Mary Horvath,
here.
John Simpson, Ashley Elson, Amber Sosa,
Here.
Donnie Gilman, Kathy Canfield, Donna Noel, Amira Morrow,
Present.
Zachary Carter, Chris Fritzen. All right, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Marty. Moving on to item number 2, public comment. During this comment period, any person is invited to comment on any topic, regardless of whether it is listed on the agenda or not. Action may not be taken on any matter raised during this public comment period until the agenda item is opened or the matter is specifically listed on a future agenda. Those who wish to comment on an item that has been listed on this agenda may, if they prefer, comment when that item has been open for consideration by the board and before action is taken. Comment must be made as described above and is limited to 3 minutes per person. And I don't see any hands raised.
We don't have any hands raised. I believe we received some written public comment, which will be added to the record.
Perfect. All right. Well, I
Also,
will.
for the record, I have John Simpson in the attendance.
Yes, I just saw him. Welcome, John. All right, so closing item 2, public comment. Moving on to item 3, approval of the TAC agenda for Friday, October 24th, 2025. If there are any comments, please provide them now. If not, I will accept a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Trina. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, thank you, Mary, for the second. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none,
Any
item,
other technical issues going on?
Just a moment.
pardon, what was
Hmm,
that?
I think that was somebody in the audience. I've muted them.
Oh, okay, thank you. Hearing no objection or opposition, that agenda is approved. Item number 4 is discussion and possible action to approve the draft minutes of Friday, September 26th, 2025 TAC meeting. Was everybody able to review those, and are there any comments? Hearing no comments, I would be open for a motion. Or not.
I motion to approve the TAC minutes.
Thank you, Mary. Do I have a second?
Second, Amber Sosa.
Amber has a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. All right, moving on to item 5, announcements by the director, George Robeson. You have the floor.
Okay, just a couple of quick announcements. Obviously, we're having our, not obviously, but instead of October 10th, we're having our monthly board meeting this afternoon at 1 o'clock. And I think everybody on this list has been given a agenda book and an agenda, but the key stuff that we have on there is we're going to have our audit results, which were very positive, as well as we are also going to be talking about the sports fields versus nature in the Rock McCarran concept today. We also have a flood awareness, a proclamation, and we're also going to be talking about our website, which we are trying to make it better for flood awareness. So it's called Know the Flow. And if we get that far, that's at the very end, that we'll also have a short demonstration on that. So with that, I think, let's see, is there anything else? Mike, do you have anything?
No,
Okay, I think that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, George. Moving on to item 6, update on the status of the Clean Water Act, section 404, and Rivers and Harbors Act, section 408 permits pending before the United States Army Corps of Engineers, and efforts being taken to move the permit applications forward to issuance. This is an informational item only, and George, you have the floor again.
All right, thank you. I would like to request to put that together with the next item because right after we did this agenda, we had some surprising news from the Corps, and so it really ties in with what the next talk will be, and it kind of changed the way I was going to do the talk. So if that's all right with the group here, I would like to be able to do that.
Can I get a vote on whether adding this to item 7 is acceptable to the TAC committee? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Say nay. All right, we'll move on to item 7 then. Presentation and discussion of the status of the Greater Truckee Meadows Flood Project, including scheduling of design, permitting, and construction, considering activity at the Reno GSR and their plans. Discussion may also include whether to accelerate other design initiatives in the strategic plan, including 1, Vista Narrows final design, item 2, Tumwa levee and flood wall design, airport berm design, and the Sparks North levee feasibility study. Other possible topics include accelerating necessary property acquisitions, possible action to provide direction for staff. So George, I will let you present.
Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and do this on a PowerPoint, and this will be available on our website as a PDF after the fact, unless Marty already did it.
It's up right now. I can put a
Okay,
link to it.
so, all right, so, anyways, here we go. So you should be seeing a splash screen with a river on one
Yes.
side and a title on the other.
That is
Everybody got
visible.
that? Okay, so, anyways, what we're talking about acceleration, and in order to talk about this intelligently, I need to give you some background information and so you can understand what we're trying to do. And since you guys are always involved in different projects like ours in lots of ways, it's good to get advice and ideas about what we should be thinking about. So here's so for the people in the audience, not so much the TAC committee members, why the Meadows Flood Project, and I'll say what it is in a second, but the why is really important. Currently, if we had a 100-year flood event over here on the, I'm going to move this. No, I'm not going to move this. Sorry. If we had a large flood, like a 100-year flood, let alone the 117-year flood, which was the 97 flood. Over here on the left side in blue are all the areas that get underwater. And there's a lot of surrounded buildings. That's why it's not continuous, because the 2D model takes into account all that. But you can see all this area that has water and is surrounded. And if we put the project in place, then it would look like on the right side where all the green is taken out. And because of Vista Narrows, this area in blue, this big area in blue on the east side here to the right, all this would be slightly less high, slightly less water level than before, even with all these other things taken out of storage for flood storage. So that's the idea here. There's a lot more water flowing in the river through this section, which is where Rock McCarran is, which is where the airport is, because of the blocking of water going off to the airport and into the Sparks industrial area. So the idea is there's more water here. When you get to this point, we've got the other water coming in, and with Vista Narrows, it actually keeps this water level as low or lower than what it would have been without the project at all. So that's the idea, is to improve this area slightly and dry out these areas in green. So the actual Truckee Meadows Flood Project, this has been around for a long time in different forms. It has been called the Living River. It's what we're doing now is not exactly like the Living River. It's also been called the Locally Preferred Plan, the Rate Plan. Once again, this is very similar to those plans, but it's not exactly like those plans. It's also got similarities with the NED plan, the NED plan, and for that the Corps came up with, except they did not do Vista Narrows, and it created some real problems. So this is the Truckee Meadows Flood Project. I mean, everybody on the committee knows this, but this is for people that might be on in the audience. What you may not know is we've done some current cost updates, and we're up over 200 million now cost forward. TRFMA has approximately 70 million saved, which that's news as well. That's climbed back up near where we were before we did the escrow with the tribes for the mitigation projects agreement. And our cash flow is about 10 to 12 million dollars per year. About 8 million of that can be spent annually on mitigation projects. And that's kind of a floor. It could be higher than that, but I don't really want to say that, but just to be conservative. So right now, the key to all of this is Vista Narrows, to this whole bigger project, because it needs to be first, because it provides the mitigation. It actually allows water to come out. So it lowers the water levels in that area up about around Hidden Valley, Sparks, and other areas, the university area, to compensate for the loss of flood storage, because now we're not having flood storage at the airport or in industrial areas anymore. Serious design of Vista Narrows began back in 2018. So that is now 8 years ago, almost. I mean, this spring it'll be 8 years, and culminated in a 65% design in late 2019. We originally thought it would be part of the core authorized project as part of the locally preferred plan. The LPP was rejected by the Corps in the fall of 2019. And in that same time period, TRFMA made an informal decision that we made more official back in 2021 to forge ahead without the Corps and get permits. And we decided to do that in the fall of 2019, and we followed through on that in May and June of 2020 for the Corps permits, which typically take longer and are more complicated. So we wanted to get in those early. Since this time, TRFMA has been waiting for permits before going to final design and initiating other design projects, with the exception of the Rock McCarran design. We decided to go with that because it is a very complicated design. We didn't want to wait to the last minute on that design. The next thing is with Vista Narrows, between June of 2020, and boy, that would be something, wouldn't it? 25 years of permitting. June of 2020 and January of 2025, there was very little progress on permit. When the project was evaluated under the authorization, TRFMA's locally preferred plan was rejected in part due to tribal concerns, which, you know, there's some very legitimate concerns there. There were things in there like we really didn't have any downstream mitigation in our plan. Of course, the NED plan didn't either, but they didn't seem to be so concerned about that. But that is a concern. And then also we had some work going on Steamboat Creek that we had since said we won't do that because of the you know, the heavy minerals, the metals. We didn't want that. We didn't want to mess with that. So, but they said, but it's in your plan, you know. So we're like, well, we want it out of our plan, but they wouldn't accept that for us. They just said, no, that's a problem. So that's why they got rid. Those were the tribal concerns, and then there was other concerns as well that were fairly minor, like what about the downstream impacts? And they would not look at our 2019, 2020 studies on downstream impacts. They said that's we're in a time machine back to 2013. So if they would have seen where the problems are and how we were trying to mitigate those problems. But of course, it wasn't really part of the original LPP. And that's one of the reasons we changed the name to the Truckee Meadows Flood Plan, is we do have downstream mitigation now, and we have a lot more different things that we did in the plan to minimize the amount of water coming down in the first place that the LPP didn't have. So that's why it's a little different, and that's why it was renamed. Early in the design, the Corps has also said that work on levees or flood walls upstream, like in this area right here, which we originally had some work on these, would mean a change to the core facility. The core NED conceptual plan was considered a core facility. A conceptual plan was considered a core facility. Don't even ask me why. But for this and other reasons, we pursued deauthorization, and we also limited the project to terracing only, because that didn't get into our the area where we had the overlap with a core facility. So because of this thing and how it could impact future projects, we went for deauthorization starting in 2021 formally. We finally got that in 2025 as part of the WRDA bill. Hats off to our congressional delegation and our lobbyists and everybody to get this into the bill in 2024 to get it passed. So we've addressed downstream effects by doing about $2 million in mitigation studies, with a $17 million mitigation projects agreement, with a lot of other things to meet these concerns that they had with the original LPP. And then on top of that, we also got the whole thing deauthorized, so they couldn't say the conceptual plan was a core facility. So a lot of work to get it to a place where we didn't have these major hurdles. So after all that, in the fall, when I knew that the thing was going to pass, when the WRDA was going to pass, and also we had the mitigation projects agreement, I did talk to Corps officials, actual national officials, and I said, "Hey, we've got all this stuff going. You guys need to jump on this. You know, we need to get this going, restart it." So on January 9th, after the WRDA bill was signed by President Biden, we had a restart meeting. And on January 9th through August, most work was on TRFMA resubmitting portions of the permit documentation, working on updates to environmental assessment provided to the Corps for the project, and also doing cultural resources work, which Danielle Henderson has been very involved in that. And we have a contractor working on this, and we've spent a great deal of time developing an EA. The Corps normally will develop their own EA, but to try to help speed it along, we developed it for them to give them, you know, just help them with their steps. Since August, now this is what's interesting. Since August, so several steps have been taken, including closing out most geotechnical and hydraulic comments, initiating legal review of the EA, and other key steps. So what happened is right after we did the agenda, we got an email during the closure of government saying, "Hey, we've got all this stuff closed out. We've got this other stuff going. We're down to just the legal review of the EA and a couple of other closeout comments that were handleable." And so that was a massive change. And it was I wasn't expecting that because the government was closed, but the Corps was considered essential, so they were actually in office. And I didn't know that the permitting people were. I knew other people were, but I didn't know they were. So that was a massive surprise, and it really changes what we're thinking here. So one of the closeout comments was to create detailed specifications that can be further reviewed that TRFMA considers a final design activity. So normally you do the final specs with the final design. And so I mean, we really don't have money left to get into all that. So we are going to ask the board in November to initiate final design so that we can get into these specs and finish them, for one thing, and also the other final design tasks. So that's the reason we want to go to final design for Vista Narrows, and we already have an incumbent. It's Atkins with a team of several other local consultants. So we've already talked to them about giving us a number for the final design, and we'll be asking for that to our board in November, because we can't really answer that comment without going to final design. So then that brings up the other design projects, and this is kind of where I want feedback, honestly, is here's our other design projects. We have the Tumwa Levee and flood wall across from the GSR. We have the airport berm, south bank between Gregg and Rock Bridges. We have the North Bank levee, which is north bank of the river downstream of McCarran Bridge to Vista. So we have all these three major projects. And in addition, GSR, which I've been going back and forth with over the past week. We were going to originally work with a berm, a levee, work with them on that. But with all the work they're doing, they just want to put up the levee when they get to it, when it works with what they're doing with their schedule. And so right now they're already doing grading for a basketball stadium and a parking structure, both that are somewhat out of the floodplain, the proposed floodplain, as well as the existing floodplain. But that's their first phase. Second phase, they want to do a golf course next to the lake to the west, which is also maybe in the floodplain. I'm not exactly sure. I think there are some portions in the floodplain. And then finally, they'll want to do other work, which may include another tower and a series of apartments, but they did not give me they don't have a date on that yet. I do have dates. The golf course, they're talking about early 2026. They'll initiate that. They'll be continuing to work on the basketball stadium and the parking lot. So we are trying to work with these guys, help provide information to them. We provide the model. We've gone to meetings with them and coordinated with them. But we want to make sure that we are kind of on the same page and working on all these kind of in the same time frame. So this kind of forces, in a way, forces us to want to get our designs up to speed so that if we need to work on this quicker, we can. Second thing is, I would like to have better cost estimates for going into bonding or going into a loan than our unit cost estimates I have now for these three projects. I mean, we have really nice estimates for Vista. We have good estimates for Rock McCarran. These are unit cost estimates. A lot of it is extrapolated from Vista or from Rock McCarran, but it's not as good of estimates as what we could do if we actually had a design on them. So I want to get better estimates so we really understand exactly what the costs are. So I'd already told you what the GSR plans are. And like I said, this is on our website if you want to get a copy of this. This is from back and forth with them over the last week. And, plans for future development are to be developed and unlikely to progress to levy before 27-28. That's their last phase, is the stuff that goes with the levy. So that's where they're at with that. And I'm talking with people that know and are on that team. How does that line up with what we might want to do and what's going on here? Well, if we do the final design starting late 25, early 26 with the board's approval, we could get a contract out in late 26. Construction could start in mid to late 27 or 28, depending on availability of contractors and contractor schedules. We'll see with the bids and things like that when we get there. But that's what we're looking at for Vista. Vista is the most important one because it provides the water level stabilization that we need when we start doing all these other projects. So it needs to be either first or tied for first or slightly ahead. The Tumwa levee and flood wall, we would like to, after all this information, and we've been talking with Tumwa about this. We've walked the site, we've talked with them, and we want to start the design early in 26 with the board's approval. Go out for statement of quals and get this going in early 2026 with construction in tandem with GSR, hopefully, which will likely be 2028. Because if you're building a levee on one side, you want to have the levee going up on the other side in tandem. The airport terracing, because there'll be more water with all that cut off, you want to also have that at roughly the same time. So we would like to start that early next year and get it to a place where we can do construction in 28 or 29, hopefully 28. Rock McCarran, that is currently under design, as you all know. And that design will be, it depends on where the 30% should be done sometime later this spring. Later in the year, we'll have the 60%. Then we can go to permitting after that. We can also and I want to just talk about this generally. We've been waiting to try to get a grant. We have approached the property owner, but we want to just, as time goes on, feel this out and see what we can do about property, especially if not the grant, but the permit comes through, then we really want to jump on that. So we're probably going to start preparing for that now, whether we make an offer or not, but we want to get our ducks in a row, as well as the permitting. And we want to do the construction kind of in tandem with with what GSR might be doing and a little after Vista Narrows. And then finally, the North Bank. The North Bank, because it's protected by Vista Narrows and it's lowered, it's not as, it's like we don't have to do it quite as fast. And depending on cash flow, we can start the design now. But, when we time this out and how we chunk this up, like, do we do it all at once? Do we do it in 3 parts? that we need a feasibility study on that to really think this through. But it would probably occur during or after Rock McCarran due to the financing concerns. So it's not that we don't have the financing, but it's like the timing and everything with interest rates. We would probably want to do that obviously last, but you know, probably right on the heels of Rock McCarran. So that's kind of what we got now on all this. And I know there will be questions, so let me just do a couple more slides so that you understand and not ask the question I have a slide on next. So these are what we think for design level stuff, that the costs that we might see in the next 2 to 3 years. The Lake Street, which we didn't talk about, is a small issue, and we're doing some very high level feasibility stuff right now. But I think the total design for that would be 500K or less, and we would probably hold off on actually doing the solution to be in tandem with the bridge replacement work that they'll do there at some point soon. Not soon, but relatively soon. The Colonies levy is completed. There's no cost there. Grand Sierra Resort berm and levee, we're just helping them with stuff. It could, you know, we may bring them some dirt. We may help them with some design stuff. We're thinking 500K in that area over the next 2 to 3 years. The Tumwa levee and flood wall, that in costing that out, it looks like about 2.2 million for the design. It might be somewhat less because we'll probably only get up to 60. We may not go all the way up to 100% there. The airport terracing is somewhat simpler in a lot of ways, so it's about $1 million. The Rock to McCarran, the cost forward on design work only is $4 million based on what we know right now. The levee and flood wall, McCarran to Vista along the North Bank, that's estimated about 7.3 million for design and permitting. That because we're nowhere on that, we got a lot of work to do on this one. And Vista Narrows has about a $51 million cost forward for just the terracing. So that's all these costs put together are 66.5 million. There's also a project where a couple of projects outside the Truckee Meadows flood project. One is up on in the let's see, what is it? The Riverside area, let's just call it that. And we are estimating those will probably be in the $4 million range, something in that area. Then we also have a home elevation projects that would probably be less than 500,000. So the whole thing is around 70 million. Right now we have 70 million in savings. Plus we have 8 million over the next 2 years, or that gives us 86 million. So we actually have a bit of a cushion, and we have a bit of a money that we could start putting into the construction projects once they get going as well. So over, you know, the year 26, the year 27, just on work on permitting and design, we have enough money to do all that as well as do the actual construction on Vista Narrows. That was a big point. Do we have the money to do all this? And do we have a cash flow problem? Do we have to loan to get there? No, we don't. So with that, that's what I have, so that you guys are kind of briefed, and this will give us a chance to talk about it with some intelligence. And I see Trina has lots of intelligence and she has a question.
Of course, I have questions. Thank you, George, for the presentation. Appreciate it. So it looks like, I mean, I understand there's about $15.5 million in design, Vista Narrows $51 million. There's sufficient funding to get this far. And it seems like GSR is looking towards targeting 20, I think you said 2027, 28 for their berm. But understanding all these things would need to be done in advance of their berm, right? So one of my main
with their berm, you know, because you really don't want to go ahead of them with like Tumwa and cause problems for them. You want to work in concurrently with, I'm sorry I jumped in, but I thought this would clarify this. You want to work together because they're right across from each other. So you want them to be in tandem.
Sure, but the downstream, I mean, you want to make sure you don't have downstream impacts if you put a berm. That's my point. is that the Tumwa levee would need to exist because if the flow wasn't passing through GSR, it would further exacerbate at Tumwa
Right.
and where it breaks out and who it floods. So I think,
And vice versa. That's what I was trying to say.
okay, right. So I think that needs to be, I think you said it, but really looked at, taking a hard look at it. And my question is, you're kind of leading towards all of these construction projects being done in 2027, 28, maybe 29. I think it was 206 million. Is that correct? The total for
204.6.
204.6. Sorry, I knew it was had some of
And
those numbers
we're
right.
about, and if you think about it, we're with the money that comes up, we're about $120 million short. So that's what
Yeah.
the financing would need to be.
Right, right. And I understand that. I guess my question is, have you thought through, is this one big contract once all the design is done? And are there opportunities for working together? Is it feasible for any one contractor to get this done or all of this work to be done in the same time frame in our community? Those are just kind of the questions I'm thinking about is, yeah, we're the design. I, agree. Let's move forward. We've got to get ahead of some of these things. It's a great opportunity with Vista Narrows permitting being almost complete. But just kind of thinking through, is this feasible in that time frame, realistically?
Honestly, I think that what Grand Sierra will end up doing is 28 or later. And what I want to do is, when they're ready to do that, we want to initiate Tumwa. So we want to have Tumwa ready. Like the design's ready, the permitting's ready, and the financing is ready to go in tandem with them. The other ones you want to be either at or before they start their work. So that would be especially the airport and Rock McCarran. When you get down into the North Bank levee, it's being protected by Vista Narrows because that water is going out quicker and it allows that water level to stay down. So you're not really creating new problems down there. You're in better shape actually. So there we don't need to like hurry up and make sure we get that done before, but we want to do that really soon after because just for the sake that there's big floods and we don't want that area takes on the most damage. So we want to get that done as fast as possible too. However, we're not going to be causing mitigation problems with that area, I guess is the difference.
So my next question with the 15.3 million in design fees over the next 2 years or so, does TRFMA have sufficient staffing to manage that much design work and make sure they're keeping tabs on all those consultants?
TRFMA as it sits now, no.
Yeah, okay.
What I've been, okay, and some of this, and Janelle might be aware of this, and I can't get into too much detail, but we want to work more collaboratively. Let me just say it this way. We want to work more collaboratively and share resources with the county on several fronts. So that's what we're working on. And I'm not agendized to go any further with that. So I don't want, Mike's over in a different office, so he can't hit me from here, but that's as far as I can go with that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
You have a couple
Yeah,
on.
any other questions from the TAC members? Seeing none, are there any questions from any of the public attendees?
We do have some stuff in the chat. We should probably open that up for public comment if you want to jump over to them.
Okay, I'm going to take off share so it's easier to see that stuff.
Yeah, the first comment was from Bob Blackstock was, will the Flatfield option for the Rock to McCarran delay the construction of flood mitigation structures?
Okay, Bob, is my understanding, and I've had some talks with people about this, is we need about $120 million to do the project, and that includes flat fields or not flat fields in the detention basin. So the project with flat fields is a certain number. The project without the flat fields is about $10 million less if it's the nature park option. Either option, you know, one would be we need 110 million, one we need 120 million. If we have 8 million that we can use for loan repayment, you know, we can make that with the current interest rates and loan conditions of loan programs that may or may not be available and bonding programs that are available. So that's my answer. Right now, with the current interest rates, with considering just CPI inflation, not accelerated construction inflation like we've had the last couple of years, I think, yeah, we can do that. That's my answer, yes. And no, it won't stall it or anything, is what my answer is. Is that, I hope that's a satisfactory answer for him.
Perhaps I could extend on that a little bit. I can easily imagine perhaps the flat fields being staged, and that is to put up the flood mitigation structures first, and then finish out the flat fields as time and money allows. Would that make any sense as far as the timeline?
If we
for
run
that's concerned?
short of money, yes, sir. If we run short of money, we could phase some of the parts of the flat fields and make it less money. We could ask for public assistance on certain things, or come out with a Spartan park concept with just the fields without lighting or stuff like that and add. There's a lot of things we can do, and I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of creative ideas this afternoon based on my conversations I've had with people.
Yeah, I intend to be at that meeting later today in Sparks. I'm in West Reno, but yeah, I'm definitely advocating for flat fields. I'm an ultimate frisbee player here in Reno, and there are a few hundred of us who play, and we're always struggling for places to play, getting moved from one field to the next. So thank you.
So yeah, and that is not decided yet if we will even do flat fields. We have to work through the, you know, what the board wants to do. Do they want to go more environmental and have it the entire area be kind of like a nature park, or do they want to go with a nature park hybrid sports complex? So that has not been decided yet. So I want to be clear on that. Okay.
Well,
next.
that decision will be made today at the board meeting. Is that correct?
Right. So I don't want to go any further with that here.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
The
Any other
next
ones?
question is from Valerie Anderson. Will the GSR berm and levee allow for overflow riparian growth and include terracing, or will it further deepen and straighten the channel?
Which one was that? I didn't see it.
Valerie Anderson in the
Okay,
chat.
okay. Now I see it. Okay. Will
Yeah.
the GSR berm and levee allow for overflow riparian growth? GSR berm. You know, that is not, we have not, that is a design that's still under, like, it's not even 15%. So I can't really answer that one yet. Or will it further deepen and straighten the channel? They are not anticipating any channel work. So I do know that part, but I'm not going to go any further with that. I mean, that's somebody else's project who is actually the next question.
All right, and then Andrew Diss commented, completion of the parking garage at GSR is key to our redevelopment along the river. Garage completion will likely be Q1 of 2027. So 2027 is the earliest we'd be able to start river work on our portion. But we want to work in tandem with TRFMA on whatever timing makes the most sense.
Yeah, and my reply to that is we want to be as flexible as we can so that we can match up with you. So one side doesn't go before the other. They're kind of growing in tandem. And this downstream stuff like that we've already talked about with Trina would come first to protect those things because of the extra water that would come down during a major flood. And that would be the airport and Rock McCarran in particular.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Any hands went up or anything? Looking at you, Marty.
I guess I would say for the record, just to clarify, Andrew Diss is the Chief Strategy Officer at the GSR. And that's who said that in the chat,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
just for the
But
record.
for everybody else, that's a good point.
I don't see any other hands or anybody looking to make a comment.
So are you looking for direction from the TAC in how to pursue these strategies?
Actually, I already got some direction in Trina's questions, like
Yeah.
some of the things I should look at and some other things. There's really good information in there. All this is being recorded. It'll be in the minutes, and we look at our minutes and go, okay, what was being said here? So we've already gotten some direction. Is there more direction? Like, I didn't want to say a lot about the county because I'm not really agendized to do that here.
Right, and I think that, just from listening to your presentation, it appears that the most, important thing to really be approaching here is all of the timing of the various projects and making sure that they are timed appropriately and constructed in an appropriate, pattern to accommodate those downstream increases in flows when those berms go up.
Right. And as soon as another thing, Amir is on the line as well, is with the tribe, as soon as we have a construction contract at Vista, then they're able to initiate their work that they would be doing on whatever they're doing. They're probably a lot of bank stability work. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but some of that, some other work that they want to do with that money from the mitigation projects agreement. So all of that works together. It all has to, and doing the designs as soon as possible is key because that gives us the flexibility to, go forward with different things. If we don't have the designs and the permitting, then we're stuck. So that's why we want to get these designs rolling now.
Zach, it looks like you have your hand raised.
Good morning, and sorry, I was having technical issues. I wasn't able to get in when you took roll. So for the record, I am in attendance. But I guess my question about the GSR project is, are the design phases or the design parameters of the remaining flood project dependent on the design decisions made by GSR for their portion of the project? So now we're saying we need to rush or kind of move faster on some of the design permitting work, but how much farther can you move along without necessarily knowing what the project of GSR is going to look like? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So the airport and Rock McCarran should go before GSR. So there's no real limitation on those two. However, on Tumwa, we want to be in coordination with them and have the timing very similar. But so that one would limit us, like until they're ready, we don't really want to do Tumwa and then put a bunch of water over at GSR. We want to work them at the same time. And if we have the design ready and the permitting ready, we can do that. We can wait for them if they're behind, and hopefully we can keep up with them, which I think is going to be our major problem, as long as we get going on these designs.
Thank you.
And Mary, you have your hand raised.
George, did the Corps say anything about the permitting for the other projects? Are they gonna make the other permitting easier for us? Is it gonna be quick, expedited, anything like that?
The Corps does not typically talk like that.
Yeah.
They just won't say.
Yeah.
In theory, that should, because the big deal is all that extra water.
Right.
So that should help. Yeah, so we're working on that. Some things I can't really talk about, but yeah, we're trying to work on streamlining the future the future projects for permitting.
Because the environmental document for the Vistaneros included the build out project, correct?
There is a discussion of cumulative effects, yes.
Okay.
So
Okay,
what are the next steps for the flood management authority to take as far as either permitting or contracting for design? Are we gonna be
Well-
looking at an RFQ for, you know, getting work done on the full design?
Yeah, the first step will be to work with Atkins, which is our incumbent, on being able to get those specs. And there's actually another thing that's on there that they can engage in. And we have a little bit of leftover budget from the 60% design that they could start on that fairly quickly. But we're working with them to get a number for the November meeting. And then we have, we want to ask permission for statement of quals to be able to put out statement of quals in January for these other projects and get them rolling along. And so that's our next steps, really, and just making sure we, cover everything we can on the permit as soon as we can. So the application, that is, like if they have something they want to add to the EA after legal review or that, whatever it is, we want to be able to jump on that and not be the slowpoke. So that's we're working on that to try to respond to the comments and just, really keep this going fast because it really has sped up after October,
Right.
which is great. We want that.
Any other questions from the folks on the line? Okay, seeing none, you indicated that you have enough to not need a formal motion, is that correct?
Yeah, I
George?
just wanted advice from you guys, talking about
Yep.
things. Hearing your questions helps me understand what some of the concerns might be.
Okay.
Like Mary asking about, well, how would this impact? That's something we've been thinking about, and obvious, yeah, those are good questions. And Zach's questions about GSR, that's right over target. That's what we've been thinking. We got to be right on time with them, with
Yeah.
Tumwa.
Okay. Well, seeing no other comments or questions, I will close item number 7 and 6. And move on to item 8, review and discussion of the Truckee River Flood Management Authority draft Board of Directors meeting agenda for October 24th, today, 2025. Mr. Mike Wolz and George Robeson.
I'll just very quickly run down that. I know all of you have received a copy of this, so I don't want to be too redundant. But the major items that we will be addressing today in that meeting will be consideration of the auditor's financial and compliance reports. And then there will be a discussion of the design criteria for the Rock and McCarran design project. And we'll be seeking a motion on that, whether those criteria should be a nature park plan or a hybrid nature park or recreation complex. And there will also be a proclamation to acknowledge November 9th through the 15th as Nevada Flood Awareness Week. And then there'll be some of our new Know the Flow videos will be presented. So those are the major items today.
And all right, moving on to item number 9, committee member comments, requests, and future agenda items. Do any members have any suggestions or comments? Mary?
I just have a question. Is the working group happening next, is it 2 weeks from now, or when is that?
We don't have any working group planned on things,
Okay,
unless something comes out of the meeting this afternoon.
okay.
Trina?
So you, just to clarify, you will seek direction from the board in November to move forward with consultant designs of all of these elements. And is that your plan? I guess, how will that be rolled out? And will the TAC be privy to that before it's voted on? Or is that what this is right now?
Well, no, the permission to go with request for qualifications, that's going to happen in like a little over, what, 2 weeks from now? That's not very long, 3 weeks from now. So there won't be a timing on that. However, when we get to the point of compiling these qualifications, the actual request, depending on which one we're talking about, we will be talking to members about this. For instance, we would probably be wanting to talk to you about the one at the airport and at Tumwa, because those are in Reno. We would want to be talking to Sparks about the North Bank levee, because that's a very important project for them. So, and any kind of follow-up on Vista Narrows as well. So yeah, we will be talking to members on that. And we, the next TAC meeting, I believe, is in December after this one. So we will probably be having that TAC meeting. I don't see why we're not. And we'll be discussing about where we're at with these things and asking for help if we need help, or we might even be calling you before that. And then once they're out, we'll want to have an evaluation team, which, like with other projects, will consist of people from this room on this talk. Like for instance, when we did Wadsworth, there was PLPT people, there were there was county people involved. For Rock McCarran, there was Reno people involved. Joe was involved in that one, for instance, and there was a county person. There are 2 county people on that one. So the idea is that you guys will have a big role in this, and that you'll be part of the teams. You'll be part of helping us formulate these as much as you can. I know you have other duties, but yeah, we'll be working collaboratively with you on these. I hope that's clear.
Great, thanks.
Zachary?
It might go without saying that will be on the next agenda, but since the board will be taking possible action to select the nature park versus hybrid option, can we just have an update on that discussion during our next TAC meeting and the results of that possible action?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be whichever one it is, we'll be carrying that to the 30%. So we can talk about that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. We will move on to our second public comment. Item 10, public comment. During this comment period, any person is invited to speak on any topic that is not listed as an action item on this agenda. Action may not be taken on any matter raised during this public comment period until the matter is specifically listed on a future agenda. Comment must be made as described above and is limited to 3 minutes per person. Is anybody on the line interested in providing public comment? See no
I don't
hands
see
raised.
any,
Oh, Valerie Anderson.
but Valerie sent something in the chat, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi.
Yeah, we were aware of that.
Oh, are you? Yeah, I just
Yeah.
found out about that. So I would think, but for
Well-
anyone that doesn't know, do you want to just read that or?
We'll add that to the comments for sure.
All right.
Thank you, Valerie.
Any other public comment?
I don't see any.
Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item number 11 for adjournment, and we are officially adjourned at 11 a.m. Thank you
Thanks,
all.
guys. Have a good weekend.
Yep, you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.